Alright, gamers, I have good news today. So I may be a bit fucking high because I just dislocated my shoulder and the doctors gave me that good fentanyl. So I am in a good mood. So I left the Gamers Nexus Discord and it's because there was like two real Linux users in there and everybody else was kind of the worst possible people you can imagine. So these are people that you always hear from Windows users that Linux users are entitled and they huff their own parts, and uh they have the support superiority complex against Windows users. Now imagine that, except you don't actually use Linux. You are in fact a slave to proprietary software, but you have the same level of entitlement and also tech illiteracy. That is what Windows users are, and what ends up happening is especially gamer brained ones that you see in like the PCMR, because it's kind of a running gag in the Linux space where PC gamers love tinkering with their PC, but the second that you tell them to use a free operating system, they're like, "Oh no, 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 no! I don't like tinkering with my operating system. I like Windows just the way it is." And this is, of course, a form of what would you call it? Not being free, you know. So yeah, it gets really draining talking to these people because they have the same sense of entitlement that or rather, the same superiority complex that they think Linux users have, except they don't even have anything to brag about. All they have is just that they hate free software and they would much rather use proprietary software because they think that it somehow makes them better, you know? And so you kind of have this, like with Linux, obviously you do have a reason to have a superiority complex because you have sought freedom and you have attained it. Windows users have no such freedom. And because of that, I find the people that sort of brag about their Windows installs, and their gaming PCs, I find them to be kind of the most retarded people on the face of the earth. It's kind of like the console fanboys, but instead it's like PC fanboy. That's really what it comes down to and this is why I always say that SteamOS may be the answer for a lot of PC gamers, because SteamOS lacks basic functionality like brew, so that you can install CLI applications. It also lacks things like printer drivers and NVIDIA support. So basically, if your PC is a glorified Xbox, SteamOS would probably work fine for you. And that is what I think the average PC gamer is they don't actually use their computer for anything meaningful. All they do is use it to play video games. And that's why the rental system from NZXT kind of makes sense, is because PC gamers really don't treat their computer as an extension on how they interact with and form a relationship with technology, basically. They end up having this problem where their PC is just another console, and that's why SteamOS has really taken off, is because it's a basically a handheld console for all intents and purposes. It's not really a full-fledged Linux desktop. It probably never will be, and that's not really the intent of it. So PC gamers would be really happy to replace their Windows install with a console operating system, and they would love that. And that is personally why I think that these people are not to be trusted. Definitely take their opinions with a heaping pile of salt, because you really do get the worst out of people when they start talking about their Windows versus Linux thing when coming from a PC gamer's perspective. Is they really have it becomes extremely toxic to talk to these people, because they will cope so hard, they will actually seethe when faced with something like free software. They will actually beg on their knees for Microsoft to give them more proprietary software, and they will gladly pay for it. I do want to call out one person who is an extremely toxic feminist cunt. Like, I mean, literally feminist, like, and you can always tell because she's the type to have a polyamorous relationship and also crush on other people, basically cheating emotionally on her partners. So, I hope that her partners like her half as much as I do, because she is actually one of the worst people I have met or ever met on the internet. but she's also extremely tech illiterate. I mean, like, she doesn't know what the fuck she's talking about. I'm sure she has a job working at a data center somewhere, but she's actually retarded. And what's happened though is we constantly have these conversations, and she even uses SteamOS on her Steam Deck, but she is a proud and happy Windows user, and she says she will gladly pay Microsoft for security updates for Windows 10 just so she doesn't have to use Windows 11. And I'm like, look, man, there at this point, there really is no saving you if that is your mindset. For one, paying for security updates should just be outright illegal. That should never be something on the table, and Microsoft has flat out embarrassed themselves by even suggesting this. Like Apple, you'll never catch Apple in the future, 25 years in the future, you will never catch them withholding security updates under a ransom, like under a paywall. That is absolutely abhorrent behavior, and it's like actually stupid. But these proud Windows cucks, that's basically all you can call them. They're basically cuckolds. Microsoft owns their computer. They don't give a shit as long as their fucking video games work, as long as they can play kernel level rootkit anti-cheat that sends all their fucking screenshots of their desktop to a Chinese server. That's the kind of shit you get from Windows users. I mean, seriously, man. Like these people are actually demented, like extremely, like severely mentally ill. And it's going to get to the point where we do just have to like distance ourselves from these kinds of people, especially like the PC master race. They are actually some of the most retarded people I have ever seen on the fucking internet, because they think they know about technology, but when they decide to use software, they end up with the worst possible choices because they want to use all these stupid proprietary peripherals and software and whatever the fuck else they want to use. It's disgusting. It's horrible behavior. And I really don't think that I have a place in these kind of communities. I obviously built my PC. I play games on my PC, but there's no way in hell that I would think that using Windows is something I can be proud of and that I can lord it over somebody because it is a form of digital slavery. That's really all it comes down to. I mean, like, maybe I'm fucking autistic about this or something, but I am seriously getting fed up with not only Microsoft, but also their fucking users, because their users are basically like Apple users, where they feed into this degenerate mindset and they end up with some of the worst takes imaginable, and they prove their tech illiteracy because they aren't able to use anything outside of their garbage proprietary software. And they will say day in and day out, oh, I need it to do I need fucking consume social media and fucking consume video games. Like, fuck you, man. If you need this garbage operating system to consume your video games, you are beyond hope. Well, that's all I'll say about that. Thanks.